Welcome everybody, my name is 𝐏𝐨𝐬𝐬 and this is the Market Meditations podcast. We chat with fascinating people from around the world to extract mindsets, routines, stories and habits to help you build richer lives. Today we have with us a true crypto expert, Boxmining. He is a content creator in the space that is extremely factual and to the point. All of his videos are well researched and he's actually gone above and beyond that. He's now a successful entrepreneur in his own right, an advisor to many projects, a trader and an investor. There's a lot to learn from him and I hope you enjoy this episode. Before we jump into this episode, don't forget that I send hand-picked market news, insights, and education to over 6,000 traders and investors 3 times a week. To get access to this, all you have to do is sign up to 𝐏𝐨𝐴𝐬𝐧.substack.com. Meditators, welcome to another edition of the Market Meditations podcast. I have with me today Michael, aka Boxmining. Now, he has a website, Discord group, Telegram, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, newsletter, and he's a prominent investor and advisor in the space. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much. Really glad to have this opportunity to come here.
Well, I feel like I'm the one with the opportunity. I've been following you since 2017. One of my first accounts alongside Peter Saddington. I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but you two were the first 2 people I followed in the crypto space.
Nice. Glad to be here. And I'm glad to see more content creation. I mean, I've been creating stuff in this space for a while, but I really like it when everyone's creating more content, and this is going to be amazing. So I'm really glad to be here and just talk about whatever you want.
Love the positivity. So let's start on a bit of a light note, something I don't think you've spoken about before on any podcast, and that is you are a food lover if your Instagram is remotely accurate. I've seen food all over it, be it restaurants or your own cooking. So let's begin with some real alpha for our listeners. Michael, what's the secret to a perfect steak?
Secret, okay. Fry each side, you put it on, just flip it once. Flip it once. Absolutely flip it once. You don't want to constantly flip it back and forth. You want to, okay, so this is a strategy. Okay, this is a strategy. This is great. I love this question being asked because I'm so passionate about steak. Because back in the day, I decided if there's anything I can cook myself, I'll teach myself how to cook. It will be steak because that's my favorite. And I'm super passionate about it. So yeah, you take your steak, leave it room temperature. You don't want to, never want to fry a cold steak out of the fridge. Then you season it lightly, salt, pepper, nothing else, and then just sear it, right? You have a super hot pan, preferably cast iron, sear it. You have to do a finger test. I mean, you probably saw this on Gordon Ramsay, but apparently this would be raw, this will be medium, and this will be well done. So you kind of touch it for texture. You don't really time it, you touch it for texture. And so you kind of make sure one side is the correct kind of texture that you want and flip it over once, and then you're done. That's perfect. That's all
simple.
You need. Yeah, and it's 10 minutes. It's great.
Michael, I'm not sure how closely you followed my Twitter. Judging by our pre-conversation, you're quite new to my content. I'm actually a steak lover myself. In fact, it's probably my biggest expense. I think I spend more on steak than I do on rent. So,
nice. So that's great, man. That's great. That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
One thing: do you pat your steak dry before putting it on the pan?
You shouldn't have to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it shouldn't be wet, right? Typically speaking, if you're getting a good steak, it shouldn't be wet. It shouldn't be coming out wet. So no, I don't pat it dry. So typically speaking, I'm surprised if you would. If you leave it out, it should kind of air dry anyways. You shouldn't have moisture on top. But I guess it depends on what you're getting, right? But yeah.
I found it quite pivotal to the steak process. That patting it dry just gets
really?
the next level. Yeah. Just
maybe
try it with a paper towel. Get a.
I'll try that. I haven't actually done that much. I go straight for it. I got a super hot pan. It goes on, boom, sears it. It's got nice crunchy, almost crunchy texture on the outside because you want that kind of browning reaction outside. This is great. I love this conversation.
I love it too. Let's keep it on the food journey. So, when did your love of food start, and how has crypto helped you accelerate your love of food?
Crypto, so I'm just gonna steal this joke, but my weight is correlated with the price of Bitcoin. So crypto, definitely accelerates the speed at which I eat. And something I realized, like, unfortunately, I'm getting older. That kind of sucks, but unfortunately, I'm getting older. So as I eat more and as crypto grows, I tend to eat more nicer stuff, and then yeah, just gain weight at a very astronomically high rate. So now I'm like, I'm actually trying to watch that. I'm trying to be like, now that's the most boring part of life, right? Like before you can't even afford food, right? Because like you said, you're in the UK. I've actually studied in the UK, and as a student, I lived on 10 quid a day. Like literally 10 quid a day. You can't really eat much because you want to save up money. But now, like, okay, I can actually afford some proper meals, but you can't eat them. You can just eat like potatoes or something like that's what your dietary allowance is. I guess 2 potatoes or something like that. That's my life now.
Well, you're definitely studied in the UK if you're using the word quid, which I noticed and love. So, wow, 10 quid a day was what you were living on back then?
Yeah.
So this success is definitely something you've built during the crypto period.
That is right. That's right. So like I didn't come from a very wealthy family, but yeah, it's I was lucky enough to be able to study well, and then actually quit studying and actually pursue a career. It's a very long journey, but anyways, that's
I know you started crypto part time to just mining part time to help generate
that's right.
extra income on the
That's
side.
right.
Was money the motivation for you, or was it a passion for crypto?
Unfortunately, it was money, and that's where I screwed up because, yeah, if it wasn't money, then I think if it was a passion, I would have bought more. So this is, very, very early, 2012. I was actually studying chemistry. I was doing my PhD, and I love gaming, right? And so one of the things, I kind of tabbed was gaming computers. So I actually had 3 gaming computers. Don't ask me why I have three, but I had three. And they were powered down. So I was looking for like, can I make money from this? Right. Like my dream job would be to sit somewhere and money makes more money for me. Right. I was like, when I was studying, I was like, you know what? Running around in this lab, it kind of sucks. So why can't I just make money when I'm sleeping? Right. That's way better, right? So
Yeah.
anyway, so that's when I found mining. I was like, okay, look, you can actually mine. And at that time, it was around zero point 0.3 Bitcoin a day. Right. Back in the day, it was mining on GPUs. I mean, it sounds a lot today, right? Because zero point 0.3 Bitcoin is like, whoa,
Three
it's a
dollars
lot.
back in the day.
Yeah, $3 back in the day, not much. But yeah, so that's how I started. And then it was kind of funny because it was a point in time when I didn't understand the financial system enough to really understand the value of Bitcoin. That was kind of the lost opportunity in 2012, right? So um, I made a lot of mistakes and I shared them a lot on my channel.
Yeah.
So, say for example, I sold all my Bitcoin at $15 because I thought, oh, it pumped $15. It's probably gonna go to zero tomorrow because Peter Schiff said so, right?
Yeah.
Peter Schiff, see, he sounds like he knows what he's doing. He's got some Wall Street background over there. He thinks he I don't know, like I don't know anything. This guy probably knows more than me, right? So big mistake.
The more you go through life, the more it just seems no one knows what they're doing, really. And there's so
Exactly.
few people you should listen to.
Yeah, stop listening to other people, right? Like that's almost like when I started this show with you. I told you, like, stop listening to other people, and yeah, stop listening to this. Just shut this off. Go out. You're number one. Earth is flat. Australia doesn't exist. I'm just joking. But anyways, so yeah, so that was very early on, and then it was only really until 2015, late 2016, when I was more serious about this. When I thought, okay, look, what is this Bitcoin thing? It's been continuously moving up, even though it's been up and down. But relative to where I started off, it's pretty good. And I was very lucky to be at the right place at the right time. Right. So this is a situation where I started off with mining, and then I kind of started off making YouTube. I thought, why not? Right. Because, everyone's making YouTube. Why not grab a camera? Let's make some YouTube. Yeah. So obviously that's great. So yeah. So I guess that's kind of the journey. And then it took off. It became really successful. I got very, very deep in the space. I started investing in a lot of projects, and then now today we're kind of investing in more projects. It's great.
I love that. Nice build up and then giant jump for the entire journey from 2016 to now, which
Absolutely.
is why we're here. So let's explore that, which has got two sections to it. I mean, one, let's talk about you as a content creator and an entrepreneur, and then let's also dive into the actual nitty gritty of it. So I'd like to begin with, well, your roots were mining, right? Where do you think mining stands today? Do you think there's still opportunity there? Should people still be doing it?
That's such a good question. Such a good question. So, okay, I'll give this. So recently, if you can find the new generation of graphics cards, they are boss. They are absolute killer, because technology this year made a huge leap, which means that if you're mining with GPUs, you're in such a good position. So the new NVIDIA Gen 3 graphics card, so I have a 3070, I recently bought that, and the new AMD, so you have the 6800 XT, so 6800 XT, and the 6900 XT coming out very soon. I would say these cards are just boss, if you can get them. But the problem here is that if you're paying double the price for it, you're not going to make money. All right. So you have to get them close to retail as possible. And I think it's a good opportunity to start. So recently I restarted mining, and I'm almost doing this battle between, okay, what's better, mining or staking? All right. Like everyone wants some passive income. Right? This goes back to my original dream. Right. You make money whilst you sleep. So either mining or staking, and I'm doing both. So you got Ethereum 2.0 staking, and you got Ethereum 2.0 mining. A few people are concerned because, a lot of people mine Ethereum as one of the main sources of income, but I still see that mining going out for, it's going to be strong for around a year or so still. So I think I'm not too worried about mining going away or getting kind of less and less stuff to mine. I still feel it's going to be strong for a year or so. So, if you like to play video games, you like to mine, it's a great opportunity.
So a bunch of follow-up questions there, because a lot of interesting topics you covered. Starting with mining, a pretty easy one. Does it matter which thing you're mining a lot? Is that a big part of the process?
Nah, Okay, so if you're a miner, you will always mine what is most profitable, and then there's always spots that you can choose to buy into whatever currency you want afterwards too. So, as from a pure business perspective, you should mine whatever is most profitable in terms of USD or ETH or whatever, and then you can you can buy other coins to speculate if you want. So you should always be looking for maximum profit.
Next question, is there something specific about this generation of graphics cards that's made it so amazing? Or is it every time there's a new generation, if you get it early, you're going to be in a good position to mine?
Not always. Like this year, for some reason, there's been a huge leap in technology. So typically speaking, year-on-year improvements should be around 10-20%. This year, we're seeing like a 30-40% improvement.
Oh.
So it's bigger, and it has to do with these graphics cards. Long story cut short, there's two major graphics card companies, NVIDIA and AMD. And NVIDIA had a really bad previous generation. So the generation 2 was not good. So that didn't really deliver very good performance. And they kind of corrected that with generation 3, which is why all generation 3 cards are faster than generation 2 cards. So that's kind of crazy right there. You buy a 1,500 card last year. This year, you buy a $300 card, it's probably going to beat that. Oh no, actually, like a $500 card, you're probably going to beat that. So you're getting like almost three times the value. They also like press the price down a little bit too. So that was number one, and that's why they're like all sold out everywhere. So like for NVIDIA cards, they're pretty much sold out across the board globally wherever you are at. A lot of scalpers are scalping them for double the price, which that's just not logical. The other one is AMD's side. They've also made a huge generation leap. So this year has been really amazing for tech. So if you like to follow tech like me, I'm like, oh my god, generation leaps of just kind of the architecture, and also I think they also combined that with a movement down to a smaller node as well. So when you have chips, you move down to a smaller node, you have more power. Both you can pack more transistors in the same amount of space, and it's also more power efficient. So I'm nerding out like hardcore here.
I can feel your passion, and I'm holding myself back from diving into every single word you just mentioned to find out exactly how it works, because I know the audience wants a wider topic cover rather than exactly how these work. Because you also told me because I've got a 2080 Ti, I think that's what it is. So that's crashed now and is worth way less, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so unfortunately, your 2080 Ti will be beaten by a 3060 Ti. So it's like the generation is the first number, right? So 3 is the first generation, and the 8 is the sexy number, right? It's 2080 is like the sexy. It's a $1,000 card. This year, the 3060, which is the low end, the piece of shit that no one wants, that card will beat your card. Sadly, no. Sorry.
Hey, it is what it is. I should have done more research before I'm gonna buy the best one I can right now.
It's been a crazy year.
So now this is a question I'm not sure you're comfortable answering. On what scale are you mining right now? Is it a little side project, or are you doing serious
side project? Yeah, side project. In Hong Kong, we don't have enough space to mine, and in terms of profitability, it's not much. So per graphics card, you're getting around $2.7, or if you're 3080, you can probably push to $3 sometimes, depending on how Ethereum moves. So that's not much. All right. So if you want to make like $300 per day, you will have to have like 100 of these cards, which is not the scale I'm looking for at this current point. But with like cryptocurrency altcoins, like, you can make $300 like by getting an airdrop. So, that's a whole different story there, right?
It's quite crazy. It's literally your dream of making money doing close to nothing with crypto. If you just own the right stuff, it just sends you money nonstop right now. It's insane.
Pretty much, exactly. Pretty much. That's the whole crypto scene. But I like this year mostly. I just wanted to just get back to my roots a bit, just try mining. It's kind of fun, right? It's a fun passion project. You're kind of growing plants or something like that. It's kind of fun.
I love that you said fun passion project. It's something I want to come back to, which we spoke about earlier. You said money was the initial motivation, but now it's probably transitioned a lot more into passion, which we will cover. But right before that, Ethereum 2.0 you mentioned, and I can't not go into that. The staking there, how does that compare to mining? And do you think that's something everyone should be doing?
Yes and no. So if you have ETH sitting around, you should definitely look to stake it or to get some form of return. Mm-hmm. So roughly speaking, it's around 14% right now for Ethereum staking. And the risk is a lot less than farming, right? So I'm throwing a lot of words out here, but basically I'm looking at where I can park my ETH to get a return. So in terms of like, if it just sits in your ledger, you're not going to get anything, right? You're gonna earn if Ethereum appreciates in value, but your Ethereum's not going to make any more Ethereum. It's not going to make more babies along the way, right? So then there's two other options if you really want to, actually 3 options, right? So 3 options. So one of them, okay, so do you want me to go into detail, or do you want me not to go into detail?
I want give the people enough to which they can go Google the rest.
Okay. So one is funding rates. You can play around. You can park your ETH at a derivatives exchange or something and play with funding rates. Okay, go Google that. I'll probably make a video. Second one is farming. Okay, so farming does involve some dangers. You park it in somewhere, some project, and you get essentially airdrops for free over time. But that has become a little bit more risky because of contract hacks, etc., etc. So that's number 2, and number 3 is Ethereum staking. So Ethereum staking is because, as long as you follow the rules of what you're supposed to do, if you set up a server and you can start staking your Ethereum, you're gonna get a good return, and the risk of that is quite low. There's still some risk, obviously, if something goes wrong, but it's lower. So if you don't mind, having to wait maybe a year before you can send that Ethereum again, it's a pretty good place. Yeah. And I had a recent video to talk about how to set this up without any technical knowledge. So all you have to do is you can just pay for someone to host this. I'm also actually using all nodes. It's probably costs like around $10 per month. Yeah. They take care of all the hosting for you. All you have to do is you stake it, and the best part is you still get to keep your keys. So anything related to withdrawing those coins, you control. You never give it to anyone else. Like that's kind of core, right? You don't want to give your coins away. That's kind of that's good. So roughly speaking, at $200 per month is something you can, that's for $200 per month for 32 ETH of deposits. That's not bad.
That's
If you
not bad
run
at
a
all.
few of these, you're pretty good. Yeah, it's like free money, right?
Yeah, free money. I don't like that word, and I don't think you do either, but it's a fun word, and it's as close as you're going to get. I like how this is different to a lot of our guests are traders on here, which are like, well, maybe you can use this strategy and you might make this much. Here, it's very much, no, these are the percentages you can get, and go check it out. So I'm going to look a little bit more into doing some Ethereum 2.0 staking. I've been looking into the technology behind it quite a lot, and the swap, but not so much acting upon it and going into the staking myself. And on that technology side of it, how much do you think the scalability increase from going to 2.0 will help DeFi go mainstream?
That is a super good question and has so many different facets. It's insane. Okay, so let's start with Ethereum 2.0 right now. So Ethereum 2.0 recently just launched. It has a lot of excitement, but of course, Ethereum 2.0 right now is really at its infancy. So in terms of what it's doing, it's basically just sitting in the corner and crying. That's what Ethereum 2.0 is. If it's a baby, all it's doing is crying. It's not doing any actual work. All right. So don't expect it to be the backbone carrying DeFi anytime this year. So in terms of what it's from the tech side, it's just generating random numbers. So the beacon chain is around there to generate random numbers. There's nothing set up or built on Ethereum 2.0 right now. You're going to have to wait for different phases. So right now we're in phase 0, baby just got born, phase 0. Then there's going to be phase 1, and there's going to be phase 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to gradually ramp up. So in phase 1, we can potentially expect transfers to go. So either phase 1 or phase 1.5, we can start to expect this network to take shape, and potentially it could drastically solve a lot of issues in DeFi. Now, I'm saying this in this way because I kind of want to kind of establish some sort of correct expectations for this, because I think a lot of people, they hear the word Ethereum 2.0, they're like, boom, it's going to solve all our problems. But it will take time. If you think about it, we've been waiting for Ethereum 2.0 for 3 years, and currently we're expected to wait for phase 1 for a year, but maybe it might take 2 years. We don't know, right? So I'm just kind of setting the correct expectations. Now, long term, okay, once this is built up, it's going to allow sharding, and sharding is a way to scale blockchains. I'm not sure how you're familiar with this, because I've been in gaming, and every gaming server is sharded, right? In fact, sharding, you can almost say the word almost originated from the gaming space. It's the story of a wizard that has a crystal, and he broke it to 1,000 million pieces, right? That's a shard of a crystal, and each of these crystals are just as strong as the original one. So that's kind of the idea of sharding. You're kind of increasing how much transactions you can process and solve a lot of these problems on Ethereum, because you can see right now with Ethereum, the number of transactions they can't really process that many transactions per second. And then that's when you have to fight, right? Fight to pay the highest gas fees. Sometimes that gets to $10, $20, $30 for a single transaction just to get it through, right? So with sharding, that does solve it. But there is kind of some potential problems unknowns that we don't know yet. So say, for example, if 2 different DeFi applications are on different shards, can they successfully communicate? Are there going to be any problems with that? These are still uncertainties. So fingers crossed. I'm super optimistic that this will do, but I'm also aware of the challenges. The huge technical hurdles needs to be overcome before we get there.
It seems to be a case of people often overestimate the speed at which these changes will happen,
Absolutely.
but underestimate the impact once it does happen. Yeah, again, avoiding diving too much into the nitty gritty, because a lot of stuff was said there. And I love that story about the sharding. I didn't actually know that, which given how many times I've used and heard the word sharding, I should probably know. So thank you.
It's one of them. It's one of them. I looked this up. Like there's multiple reasons for why this term came about, but the reason why that some people, like a lot of people, accept is from the gaming space, because they were the kind of the first applications that were handling so many different users. Yeah. They had to shard the servers, and that's how it happened.
Now for a question you're not going to say is a great question, which is what are the price implications of this on Ethereum? Because it's what everyone wants to know.
Yeah, I think there's so much to go into it. I mean, I think people generally get excited by the hype of a technology improvement or by announcements, right? So typically speaking, people buy the rumor, sell the news. I mean, if you've been in crypto, you probably heard about that before. And a lot of crypto is driven by emotion. This is something that I didn't really understand when I first started in crypto. I'm like, I always try to be a logical guy. Okay, look, you know, this shouldn't impact anything at all. This is known. Okay, move on, right? But a lot of crypto is driven by emotion. So I think there were initially, if you look at Ethereum 2.0, there was so much excitement for it, right? So towards the run up of the launch of Ethereum 2.0, we saw these giant price movements up. In fact, we moved from like 400 to 500 to 600, and then we dropped back down to 500 because the news came out and sell the news, right? So we're currently at that stage, but I feel like um, what's more fundamental than just Ethereum 2.0 is the number of developers on Ethereum. So if you look at all the different the innovation in the DeFi space, is coming from Ethereum, and I think that's kind of pretty amazing. I think a lot of people don't realize how much this developer ecosystem matters. I think a lot of people, when they talk about all this tech, they get, like me, I love this tech, right? I get deep into this tech. But if you just look at it from just the community perspective, developers want to develop on Ethereum because there's so many speculators on Ethereum. So they have the biggest audience for their coin if they ever issue one. And then because people are constantly issuing coins on Ethereum, because it's a hotbed, it's like the chicken and egg issue, right? There's just such a good dynamic right now because the developers want to jump on. No, sorry, the speculators want to jump on these new projects, and then there's more projects because there's more speculators, and we get to the point where Ethereum has become so dominant in the kind of new coin innovation space, which is why a lot of projects try to replicate this in the past, especially in 2017. They're like, "Oh, we're the Ethereum killer." No one's managed to kill Ethereum yet. I just say that.
No one's managed to kill Ethereum itself, but as you said, a big part of the hype is people speculating on Ethereum itself and raising the value because they want to invest in these projects. What if, for example, with the rising stablecoin market, there is no reason to use Ethereum? How would that impact the price? So you use stablecoins as your main means of investing into these projects and speculating in these projects, which are built on the Ethereum network.
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, you could say that because if you look at this year, if you're looking at a lot of projects, they're raising in USDC, USDT, and not in ETH, right? So 2017, a lot of projects raised in ETH, and that was one of the main reasons, primary drivers of why ETH went up so fast in price. Every speculator needed to have some ETH on hand in order to speculate on new projects. But that being said, of course, the ETH pair is still super strong on Uniswap. So if you look at most altcoins, all right, I was going to say shit coins, but I'll be nice and polite on this channel. I say it affectionately, okay? I say it affectionately, but most altcoins have a very strong ETH pair. And I still feel like a lot of these projects reinforce on the whole network overall. So there's been various attempts this year, especially this year, to try to say, oh, let's go off chain for scaling. Let's use Conflux, or let's use Honey, or let's use some like weird ass blockchain to try to scale Ethereum, and that hasn't worked. Like people voted with their money. They like Uniswap, even though sometimes transactions are expensive. But you can see that Uniswap is growing bigger and bigger in terms of both value locked, both in the number of new coins being launched on it. So yeah, people say this, but if you look at the stats, like, would you rather list on Ethereum or you want to list your coin on some, weird ass exchange that no one's ever heard of?
Can't argue with the stats. I mean, if the data suggests that, it's not something I personally looked into, but I'll definitely take your word for it and look more into it as well. Michael, let's switch gears and get back to the Michael journey and a little less on the general crypto space. Talk me through what made you succeed so much in 2017 as a content creator, what separated you from the rest? Because your success was quite parabolic during that period compared to a lot of other people getting involved in the space.
Ooh, all right, you're pushing me to reveal some secrets here. Um, okay, I would say, there's a phase where I want to show off. Oh, I'm super punchable. Maybe that's why. Or but I think at the end of the day, it was the speed of delivery. So a lot of content really quickly. So when box mining first started, I was ultra aggressive, right? I was like, I just came off from gaming, so I was like, you know what? Let me just do 2 videos a day. One video in the morning, one video at night, and you just constantly create content. So like everywhere you look, there's gonna be this ugly guy talking about cryptocurrencies, right? So I think that was kind of one reason, and the other one I think I'm not gonna discard is to say opportunity. At that time, everyone wanted to know about this. So as long as you provided the correct information, there was such a hunger for it. So I think that's the 2 combination of factors.
So just 2 videos a day you were doing, one in the morning, one in the evening.
Yeah. And then it's like, yeah. And then when I first started, I was like working a full-time job too. So I was like, you can actually see like, I would like be making a video right before work. And then after work, when I got back home, it's like, you'll get back home, you'll eat food. You finish eating food at 9 o'clock, and then you start preparing 2 hours to figure out, research what's happening in crypto. You start filming at 11, finish filming, edit it, upload it, 11 o'clock. That'll be online, and sorry, not 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, that'll be online, and then go sleep. Next day, repeat. That's tough.
It was tough, but did part of you love it? Did you enjoy that grind?
Yeah. That was good. That was super good. Like you definitely feel like you have achieved a lot. Like you don't waste a single second, and it's something that I kind of miss now, because now I kind of changed my upload schedule, so it's not intense. I do trading, but trading is nowhere near as fulfilling, right? Like you sat on and clicked a bunch of buttons for like 6 hours. Congrats, right? Like it's not as cool as like, oh man, I've created this content. This many people watched it, and you got some concrete results. I think like sure, maybe you make money in trading, but here, like when you produce content, I think it's always super measurable in terms
Yeah.
of what you do.
Well, when did the job leave the equation? When do you quit the job finally?
Yeah, 2017. It was like, oh wow, Bitcoin's, I can just walk out now. In fact, that's actually it's a combination of both. Like the company wasn't doing too well either, so I was like, you know what, okay, you fire me, I fire you, right? But yeah, so it was like, it was rough. It was a situation where it really did take off, and for me, it was like kind of a step forward, because like I think even for me, like my parents are not entrepreneurs, right? My parents are actually academics, so they prefer very stable paths. Um, they generally like, okay, this is where you're going. But when you're creating content, you don't know where the hell you're going, right? You don't know where the hell this crypto thing is going. Like, I think no one understood it back in the day. Even 2017, especially in Asia, people thought, "Oh, are you selling radios or something?" Because they're kind of that kind of mindset, right? You're selling. What are you doing? What is this like blockchain? And like it's so foreign and new to them. Like for them, like the radio is the most advanced thing in the world. So like, you're selling radios. No, I'm not. I'm like, it's blockchain, guys. And then I think there's a big transition this year too, where finally people start to understand. So I'm actually feeling, oh, that's pretty cool. At least they know now that it's going somewhere.
Michael, if it's okay to ask, what made it so rough, the transition? Because I thought it'd be more of a celebration, like, yay, we get to quit the job, time to go full time.
Yeah, but but you're going from like having a stable income to having, where is crypto going to go? And especially like 2017, I think a lot of people remember it as, always up, but sometimes you take huge hits, right? Like sometimes you take like a Bitcoin dropped by 30% and you don't have a job. You're like, oh, fuck me, right? Like, what the hell am I doing? Right. And, like how far is it going to go? Because you're always worried that like, not only is the market crashing, but if the market crashes, people are going to lose interest in this, right? So wouldn't you be quite uncertain too? Like at that time, I don't think I believe in this as much as I did. I think there's still a lot of like, inner narcissism and criticism, self-criticism on this. Like, I think that's with every single person, right? But I think at that time, there was one day when crypto massively crashed, and I think me and Ivan tech messaged each other like, maybe this is the end. Like maybe we're not gonna make any more YouTube videos. Like people are gonna stop watching because like we're gonna go to zero because Peter Schiff said so. So you know, over these years, of course, I kind of realized that like everyone who's saying Bitcoin is going to zero, like once you meet them, you realize that they're total bogus. I think the most kind of insightful person was Dr. Doom. I forgot what his name was. Nouriel Roubini, right? So Nouriel Roubini, I met him actually at a conference in Taipei. He was doing this great debate. Yeah, it's a great debate because Nouriel Roubini is famous for saying that crypto is going to go zero. He's an economist. He's in I think it's New York State University, one of the top universities, and he's just saying this is going to zero. This makes no economic sense whatsoever. I think people actually used to believe him. And then when I saw him, I realized, okay, first of all, he actually knows a lot about crypto. He knew all the memes. He pretty much knew every single detail. I'm like, as an educator, why are you looking into this so much? And then I realized he was making entertainment. I realized he wasn't expressing his opinion. He made a career out of being the villain. I was like, wow, because I found out he was being paid $50,000 to go to this talk. I mean, like 50K for an academic is quite a bit. Like I've been through this whole academic game. My prof, like back in the day, like they don't make much. Let's just say, like 50K a day is a lot to these guys, right? So I'm like, holy crap! He made a career out of being the villain, and I realized that he pretty much based his own profession on Bitcoin succeeding too. So like whatever he says has absolutely no actual meaning whatsoever. It's not about what he's saying, but if you look at what he's doing, right, which is basing his career essentially on being the antagonist of crypto, he's making a good killing out of it. So anyways, I kind of realized that you should definitely stop listening to these very, very loud personalities. He's very good at playing that personality. And if you look at the way that he talks and speaks, he plays that villain role very well. It's like almost like an actor researching a job. Like he does it perfectly.
It's also well, I've had this suspicion always. For example, when I see Peter Schiff constantly at the perfect moment do very, very bearish tweets on Bitcoin and the engagement blows up, it does seem like he's just playing a role to farm some engagement. And now you experienced it in person, and it's also easier and cheaper to be a villain than a hero, because if you're like Michael Saylor playing the hero, you have to buy a lot of Bitcoin to play that role.
Well, kind of. I mean, Michael's on a different strategy. Is he really buying? Who knows, right?
Oh, really?
Like, what if he has a huge short up when he says he's buying, right? I kind of started distrusting personalities and what they say, especially when someone's very public about their position on Bitcoin. I'm always very suspicious. I mean, sometimes it's very clear some people are bullish, but you must understand, for Michael Saylor, it makes no sense for him to be publicly super bearish before he enters a position. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The only time he should say he's bullish is after he enters the position, because then he moves up the price. Yeah. Right. And then why does he want to move up the price? Because he wants to dump on your face. Right. So it's all mind games. And like I kind of stopped listening to people recently. Like I kind of said, OK, look, I'm not listening to what they're saying, but looking at what they're doing, which is kind of key in crypto. Like you must look at what they're doing. And that's the ultimate judge of character in this case.
And I guess if you can't look at what they're doing, you just ignore it as news or noise. Sorry.
Yeah, just noise. It's I think a lot of people, and that's my other gripe here. A lot of people are looking for reasons, and so a lot of times they identify news as facts, and that's, for me, like that's the worst thing can do, right? It's. In science, you definitely have to do double-blind tests to make sure that this is really the reason why something is happening. And placebo effect is super real.
Yeah.
So I think in crypto, a lot of people they look at correlations, but correlations does not always equal causation. So
yeah, it's cognitive dissonance. Everyone's looking to agree with something which affirms their already existing biases.
Yes.
So the
Correct.
villains and the extremes will always find supporters. Yeah, that was very insightful, Michael. Definitely something I'm going to pay a lot more active attention to, and something our listeners, I think, will benefit from, because everyone listening to this probably found me on Twitter or is coming from your YouTube and is exposed to a lot of crypto media. And it's always important to have this lens on that everyone is saying what they're saying for a reason, and you have no idea what their motivations are. Now,
Yes.
do you feel any moral obligation to do or not do this in the content creation space?
All right, morals is really hard. This year, I think that's my biggest struggle, because I used to be one of the people who would like grab a pitchfork and fight for every single thing that's moral, right? And then I guess as I grow older, I kind of feel that what is morality? You kind of start questioning that, like. You can start to understand. I think I'm being a little bit more compassionate this year. Before I would say, "Oh, Ripple, that's a shitcoin," like that's an absolute shitcoin, has no immediate purpose. But now I'm like, let's be more respectful of that. Some people love it. I try to give facts. That's what I want. Like that's what I like, right? If you look at me and how I see things, I love facts and I like being correct. But then this year, one of the repeating themes was, do you want to be correct or do you want to make money? So then I'm like, okay, maybe sometimes I want to be making money. And then you have kind of this kind of area where how do you kind of balance this, right? And I think it's like, I want to provide always the information. I think that's kind of the key here. Like for me, it's like anything that's not factual, it makes me want to throw up. So I think that's the case where I rather not want to throw up. But at the same time, I think like there's a little bit where I'm like, what is morality? I think that's maybe what I'm struggling here. Like, am I doing the real? Is this moral? I mean, there's a lot of people in my channel that loves Bitcoin Cash Satoshi's vision, and normally I would just roll my eyes. But if this guy's really passionate about it, should I be there to just like tell him it's wrong? But what's the point, right? Like maybe he has a point. Maybe I can be wrong too. So maybe this year I'm just more kind of like open-minded in that.
Specifically this year?
Yeah, kind of. Maybe this year. Maybe currently, who knows, right?
Oh, well, you said you used to bring up the pitchfork, and that would be probably back in 2017. How, back then, did you manage to, and again, switching gears a little bit back to the YouTube, how did you manage to survive through the bear market? What kept you going, kept you making content? Because you said you had that doubt with Ivan on Tech when we had the dump. But with 3 years of crypto not doing that much price-wise, what kept you going?
Well, you have to remember 2017 was pretty explosive, right? So I think I was like early 2017 when I thought it was going to go away, and then it went, straight up to high heavens, right? And that's when I was like, okay, look, now I have like a 7-year runway. I'm not very concerned at all anymore. And then I made a few, So I think it's also just to do with, how successful 2017 was. I think no one imagined, like ETH would go from $10 to 1,600, right? I mean, you have to be extraordinarily bad at clicking buttons to not win in 2017 if you were there early. Obviously, if you got in late, that's another story. I think still a lot of people are the ones that got in late, and this is it's unfortunate, right? Like people hear about crypto when it's kind of like it's going up, right? People love things going up, but technically speaking, I was making content a little bit less. That's why 2018, 2019, I was like, just like, what? I personally speaking, as a selfish person, I wanted to see the world. So I did a lot of traveling back in 2018, 2019, just personally. Like I did like a month and a half in Bali,
Right.
traveled around Iceland, went on cruise. Actually the cruise was like a crypto cruise too. So I like cruised around Europe. So like I got to see what I wanted to see. I was just kind of ticking off my bucket list, right? So while I was also making some content on the side, but that would be the best time to buy, right? Like 2018, 2019, Bitcoin $3,000. I kept talking about it. I was actually in LA. I was like, guys, this Bitcoin, man, it's great. But no one wants to listen to you at that time, right? You have like fewer and fewer followers, fewer and fewer people watching. But you know what? I'm like, for the people who did watch me and follow me, I think it's kind of my responsibility to make some more content. So I was like, at that time, it was roughly around one video per week
Mhm.
that I was kind of pushing out, and that would probably be the best time, realistically speaking, to buy.
Would you have done it any differently?
Nah,
So
not at all. I
it was
think.
pretty much perfectly timed for the travel. And then how did you transition from the travel back into hardcore into crypto?
Corona,
Oh,
coronavirus. So yeah, so it's kind of funny too. So just speaking of that, so this year, obviously, the timing of that was kind of crazy, right? If you think about it. So January, I was actually making videos on coronavirus because I actually had to cancel my trip to China because like right before I was going to travel back to mainland China, Wuhan got locked down. And I was like, okay, this is bananas, right? And I actually was hardcore making videos about coronavirus because I actually have a background in science, right? So I was like, you know what, at least be able to analyze this, right? Because like at that time, it was very clear, like from a scientific perspective, if we shut everything down there, coronavirus would have disappeared within a
oh
week.
wow.
Like that was a situation, right? No one else was infected. It was just a bunch of people in Wuhan. Shut Wuhan down, close off all travel like we're doing right now. No one would, this wouldn't spread, right? Like, I think a lot of people don't realize how much the World Health Organization, how much world governments really fucked this up, like majorly, majorly. Like they shut everything down after, it's like, like the essence is to prevent a car crash, right? Once the car crash has happened, there's no point really to stop it right now. I feel like it's a point where, now everyone's had enough. It's just and everyone's so sensitive about this, right? But honestly, like right when I was making those videos, when I was like, you know what, like I'm sorry to rant
No.
on this. It's like I feel passionate about this right now, but right when I was making this videos, it's fucking clear that it was a big fucking problem.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take, if I can figure this out, right? You would think that world governments with intelligence agencies around the world would know what the fuck is going on. But no, they were just like, oh, we don't want to suspend flights. Okay, like come right in. It's okay. It's all right. Yeah, it's like everyone party. It's okay. Economy, man. Let's keep it up. Whatever. I'm just angry.
No, I get it.
But
And
yeah,
it's
it
not
doesn't.
like they didn't have prior warning. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the talk Bill Gates did talking about how unprepared the world is for a pandemic like this. And he was right. The world was unprepared and they had no idea how to react to it. People forget, they think of governments as these machines that just operate perfectly and know exactly what they're doing. They're just people. They're just people
It's a
making
fucking
decisions.
disaster. It's a big fucking disaster. And I think like, what coronavirus also shows is like, we were right to distrust the government. And I think that's that's a lucky thing for us in crypto, right? A lot of people in crypto already distrust the government. That's kind of why we have our own economic system
Yeah.
set up, right? And this is why it also reaffirms my belief that this system is the best system, is because there's no one person that's in charge. I mean, if you look at it, since coronavirus, since this year, I think that I read the report last. It was like what the U.S. government printed 20% of the total circulating supply of USD. I mean, like that's a big punch in the face for anyone holding USD,
Yeah.
right? Also, Hong Kong's currency is tied to the US dollar, so that's also a big punch in the face for us. But, anyways, it really goes to show that this world is super
Yeah.
messed up. And having a form of currency that is kind of free from governments is very important. And it kind of, for me, right, there's no doubt in my mind that this is the way to go. Like if I wasn't convinced in 2017, like I'm super convinced after the debacle of this year. Like with this mess here, yeah, you're better off trusting the people rather than a bunch of dumbasses up there. So
I fully agree with the one caveat or addition that there could be a better solution that comes up. But right now, I see no better solution than what we've created. And also, we can add DeFi into the equation. So now not only do governments fall out, but we also don't need banks and financial institutions either once that technology matures
yeah.
enough.
Yeah, kind of tend to agree with you there, but I think it's like that the essence here is that Satoshi did actually do something magical, which is allow we throw this around around the word decentralization a lot, and decentralization was actually really hard to achieve, and I think like to be able to achieve it on this technological level, I think it's just pretty amazing. I think like every attempt, right? If you think about it, if you just look at the case for Bitcoin, you're solving some critical things like everyone is keeping a copy of the ledger. And how do you make sure that people don't lie? How do you make sure that the bad actors get like sifted out without having a central leader organizing it? So I feel like that by itself is very beautiful. And I think it's like everything else is everything that's came from that is like kind of an iteration of that. Okay, it's faster, XYZ, but like kind of the original concept of that is kind of super cool. So
Yeah.
I don't really see much that can replace it, to be honest.
I agree.
Yeah.
I don't see anything. I have not seen one solution. That's why, Michael, I'm also 110% in crypto right now. This is everything I do, the content creation, talking with thought leaders around the world like yourself. It's what I believe in because not only is it a growing, profitable, amazing industry, but way more than that, it's actually an amazing thing to dedicate your life to. And it can really change the
Absolutely.
world. How did you spot DeFi so early? Because you were one of the first people to jump on that. Not first, but at least in the content creator space, you jumped on that pretty early.
I was very lucky. So I had a few friends that so you keep contact with the friends that you know what they're doing, and I mined Wi-Fi, so Wi-Fi in the first 6 hours
Oh
of
wow.
it. In fact, I was actually in Curve before that. So I was actually in Curve. I just didn't press the button. I didn't know you had to press the button. So yeah, like I was in that pool already, and then you have to press the button to stake it and then to earn your Wi-Fi. So yeah, so I was there, and then man, it was just like so much money flowing in. It was kind of crazy. Like just watching this like free coin that you're getting just explode in value, right? So I think it's a combination of luck and just having the right friends that know how to identify the right stuff. I think that's kind of the value. Like over the years, you meet people who don't know their stuff, and that's kind of cool, right? So I think it's a lot.
Are those personal friends or any of them public figures that we should definitely
Yeah,
be
personal
following?
friends. A lot of personal friends. Yeah, a lot of personal friends. Also, big shout outs to like Ruben from Zcash, Zcoin, also rebranded as Firo. Yeah, he's super legit. He doesn't always know how to pump his coin, but he knows his tech so damn well. So like, super respect to that guy. There's so many other people. So many people. I don't think they want to be
Yeah.
named at this point. Also Clement's super cool. Genesis Block Ventures, which is something that I'm helping with. Like recently, just been a lot going on with.
I know you're an advisor there. How did
I'm advisor to Genesis Block, and then also I'm just going for partners at Genesis Block Ventures. So that's actually something I'm in the process of pushing for. So yeah, that's currently there.
can you tell us,
So Genesis Block Ventures will be the
can you tell us a little bit?
So that's the venture arm of Genesis Block. Yeah. So recently, you probably saw the huge acquisition. So we made an acquisition in OMG.
Congratulations.
So OMG Go Network. That was a huge undertaking, and yeah, I'm not sure how much I can say about that, but that was like I was we're like yeah, really happy for that big first move and to get on the news.
Amazing.
So
That is
it's pretty cool.
amazing. I mean, my OMG bags, it was one of the only bag I held through 2017 and eventually wrote it off as a tax loss. But yeah, I couldn't let that one go for some reason. I just believed in it so much, but the price didn't agree.
There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of work to do as well. I think like that's all I can say for
For
now.
sure.
I think there's a like If you look at it from Clement's angle, like, so Clement and I have been friends since almost 2017, 2016-ish, friends. I'm very good personal friends. And he's been working his ass off, like just talking to lawyers and stuff. So recently we had, I'll encourage you guys to check this out. We have a live stream of him, and he wants to be more transparent, right? So he's kind of the main spearhead behind everything here. And it was a very casual session because he pretty much talked with lawyers for the whole 3 weeks. And we thought, you know what, let's make it more casual, just get to know, what what's happening, everything's what's going on. But yeah, it's a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of opportunities.
With that, I won't dive into the OMG thing anymore because I know it sounds like it's sensitive what you can share.
And like it's super lots of NDA surrounding this. So yeah, just
but hopefully I can dive a little more into the actual ventures themselves. So what do you guys do? Do you come in with funding, with strategy? Do you work on finance side, legal, consulting? What do you guys do when you acquire or?
So I've been investing with Clement for a long time, and I've been investing in the crypto space since 2017, right? So we've been through this rodeo before, right? And I think this is one of the most promising spaces to invest in because two reasons, right? One is because there's just so much innovation here, right? Some guy can type up a little bit of code, like Andre Cronje. He can just come up, think of something cool. 3 days later, it becomes a full-fledged project with millions of dollars locked inside, and it's just like, wow, like this guy just built a bank from nothing, right? From like some code he dreamt up, right? So I think this is one of the most innovative spaces here. It's just full of opportunity. The other reason that crypto is good is because it's kind of you don't have to wait so long. You can see the fruits of your labor, fruits of someone's labor, fruits of your labor rather quickly, right? If you look at the traditional investment scene, and I do have equity investments, you're looking for exits in 10, 15 years if it's successful. And sometimes it just fall flat after a year and say, oh, sorry, we can't make it, right? So in crypto, you have a lot more liquidity, and it's been such a good space. But at the same time, it's packed to the brim with scams. This is the biggest problem with crypto right now. Like, I think that there's a problem with the investor mentality, of course, as well. I think a lot of people just choose to invest in scams and they just ape into something, and this creates a situation where developers think that it's okay to scam people. It's not, right? It's not okay. And I think the speed is a little bit too fast, but I've been trying to figure out, like, how to deal with this, but I think it's something that community has to learn overall. But overall, like it's good. If you make the right calls, if you have to find the right teams, you're gonna pop, right? That's the beauty of it.
Well, it's kind of the double-edged sword. The reason we can move so fast and do anything is because there isn't much red tape, and that red tape is what sometimes prevents scams, but also makes systems inefficient. Definitely a difficult thing to balance. One thing which I think you do fantastically, and I try to do as well, is education. Good quality education can really help people make the right decisions the more free information gets out there. Michael, how did you transition from content creator to where you are now?
So I think it's with luck. This is like very self-taught, right? So I'm not gonna be being like, oh, I'm a great economics guy. I know my background's in science, right? But background science and gaming development, and so how did that transition happen? It was very bizarre, right? So 2017, obviously things went very well, and I was very strategic. There was a few projects that just really took off, like Ethereum. There was also VeChain, Bitcoin also took off. Engine really took off too. So, like, I was very lucky. I think the market, I was at the right place at the right time. So after 2017, it became much harder, right? So 2018 was a time when things started to die, and you really see some coins just die a terrible, painful, actually not a terrible, painful death. It's a very slow, dragged out death where liquidity drops and you can't liquidate your shitcoin anymore, and then it's like a effective rug pull, right? So yeah, then you kind of spot the differences. So it's really experience, I would say. Like, for me, what I think helps, and this is kind of the opposite of what you want to be on YouTube, right? What helps is to be absolutely emotionless. right? To be pure logic. But that doesn't go very well on camera. It's extremely boring. So you kind of have to find a balance and have like this like kind of two personalities and a one personality where you're just like, okay, look, this is serious, right? Box mining serious, and then there's box mining total degenerate running around, whatever, who the
What's
fuck
up,
cares,
YouTube?
right? So yeah, what's up? But it's like on YouTube, I try not to be totally degenerate. I feel like that doesn't really help the space, right? If you want to be around for 10, 20 years, you actually want people to actually know their stuff. So yeah, that's been kind of the focus. But so over the last 2 years, for sure, a lot more geared towards investments. Just being able to understand deal terms, sign SAFs, all that stuff, kind of just learning the ropes. Then understanding how to evaluate these things, even though it's very hard to evaluate because how do you evaluate the purpose of a utility coin that could change every 3 months? But you kind of get some strategy around it. So yeah, it's yeah, and it does help obviously to be able to learn from mistakes. Like I said, 2017 was great, sometimes not so great, but I think every time you do it, you learn. And I think the key here is to spot the bullshitters, right? Like I kind of said very early on, and I alluded to this, right? It's like never trust what people say, right? And I think that was the kind of the strategy, and you kind of see that with the people you hang around with, because you kind of like generally speaking, right? You want to make friends with people who know their stuff, right? So as long as you're able to identify the people who know their stuff and you can be able to kind of identify what patterns and traits that makes them great, never listen to them, right? Obviously, you don't always listen to good people, but you identify what they are doing. That accelerates the learning by a lot. When you listen to them and you do what they say, then no, you're gonna get totally wrecked. But if you look at what they are doing and kind of see, kind of deduce the logic behind why they're doing and why they're saying what they're saying, that becomes a lot more powerful.
But how do you spot the pure BSers versus the people who actually have value to get behind the BS?
I think the easiest way for me is, so I'm very lucky to have Boxmining channel here because a lot of people I can do
Yeah.
interviews, and something that this interview trick is the one that I always like. I learned this when I was like building my gaming company, which is you always ask someone very deep about something that they say that they know. All right. So you ask very specific. Let's say this guy's talking about
Yeah.
protocols. You ask them, okay, look, how did you set up the blockchain? And then you ask one layer deeper. All right. Okay, look, what language did you use? Okay, did you use Go? Why did you choose to use Go over C++?
Mhm.
Was there a particular reason? And then if they go for another, you go that layer deeper, right? You're understanding the compiler. They're talking about how specific communication is doing, how network packets are configured. Then you go a little bit deeper, and you can see like how much you're
Yeah.
bullshitting, right? Like, you can see when they kind of where the knowledge ends and how they react to that. Some people can bullshit forever, but the lucky thing is, like, if they're bullshitting, you can just Google it, and it takes 3 seconds to find out, okay, this guy has no idea. He's just making shit up, right? But for people who, generally speaking, know their stuff, they also know when they don't know their stuff, and that's when you actually kind of realize, okay, this guy knows this much, and you can kind of evaluate the person that way. So
I mean,
that's kind of my secret
if they
to
get
it.
to that point and they say, "Oh, okay, yeah, I don't know that," that's also a testament of character. It's just transparency,
Yes,
This is it,
yes,
which is my
absolutely.
limit.
Most people who know stuff are okay with saying that they don't know stuff. It's always the people that always say pretend they know something that you have to watch out for. Captain Jack Sparrow, always smart. A lot of what he says is legit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Michael, I have one last question for you, and this is a bit of a fun one.
Mhm.
Yams. What happened with Yams?
Oh God, you have to bring that up, right? I was a situation where that was my biggest mistake in DeFi, where like I farmed yams for free.
Yeah.
That was great. I got some yams. But then I was like, okay, look, yams has this bug, and the price is dropping drastically. And from what I was seeing, they needed the community to group together to stake a certain amount of yams to vote on the governance. and basically jump through a bunch of hoops. And we actually did that. Like towards the end, like the 1 hour before this disaster was meant to happen, we banded together and saved yams, right? Like the whole community succeeded, banded together, saved yams. But it turns out the developers are just total idiots. And even after we jump through all these hoops, they're like, oh, sorry, I'm a failure. I'm like, so like that really just turned to zero. So it's a situation where I kind of anticipated. I was like, I thought I was smarter than the market, and I was like, oh yeah, let me just buy some, because like after this big disaster is averted, that price should go up. I should be able to to make a good trade here. But nope, I just got caught, and it just got turned to zero because of some dumbasses. So yeah, don't ever trust dumbasses. I think that's okay. It's okay. Clinton, we love you. It's okay. It's all right. I was just joking. But it's a situation where, yeah, it's okay.
You mentioned that it was also, you had so much success that year that you did get an ego build up and think, oh, I am smarter than the market.
Is it an ego buildup, or is it like, I think it's a, like, I would love to say it's not as ego buildup, because like generally speaking, I try not to have an ego maybe, but at the same time, I feel like it was the right play with the information I knew. It's just that I didn't know how, like, because I knew what amount of deposits were needed to save yams. I knew the deadline. I knew the code was being deployed, and the status bar was there. Everything was looking great. It's just that I didn't know how it could have potentially failed, even if the code was correct. So I think like I wasn't researching deep enough into the inner circle to have the information I needed. So I think like it was a learning lesson from it's like a speculative play that failed. But would I have done it again if I knew the same information? I probably would have done it again. I think that's the sad part. But the lesson here, I think, would be to research a little bit more, like to get more intel on it. I think that would be the more
for sure
core aspect. I mean, I think it's like, it's a situation where, subsequently, I'm absolutely okay with my mistakes, but also I make there's huge gains where things did work well when, it was completely, very high risk strategies. And, sometimes that pays off very well.
For sure, that risk to reward is definitely correlated. Something I firmly believe in.
Yep.
Michael, that brings us to the end of the podcast. Before we wrap things up, is there anything you'd like to leave our listeners with?
Yeah, just be smart. Always judge people by what they do. And if you want to check out stuff on Boxmining video channel, there's so much stuff that we're going through right now. Also check out my podcast. Search Bitcoin Out of the Box. That's the easiest name to remember. Spotify podcast, Apple podcast, everything. So I'd like to thank you here as well. Big opportunity. Thank you so much. I've had a really good time.
I've had a great time. You've been insightful. You've been energetic. You've been transparent and open. It's been really fun. The link to all of your stuff will be in the description below for anyone who wants to check it out, and I highly advise you do. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Market Meditations podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like us to continue bringing you fascinating people from across the world, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you like to listen to these podcasts, and share the episode with a friend. If you have feedback or an idea for a potential guest, reach out to me on Twitter at 𝐏𝐸𝐺, and do not forget we write a newsletter covering all important topics in crypto and traditional markets. We send it out 3 times a week. The Market Meditations newsletter. You also get early access to these episodes, and you get transcripts and extra notes as well, so make sure to subscribe there as well.